So, you've been stretching your calves like everybody tells you to do to eliminate plantar fascia pain. Guess what? The reason it's probably not working is because you need to know how to load the calf in 3 planes of motion. You've only been doing it in 1. You might want to watch this. So you've been stretching your calves, and you've been doing what everybody tells you to do, right? Maybe you've been doing it sitting down, and you've put a band or a towel or something under the toes, and you've been pulling that puppy for all you're worth, right? Well, guess what? You can't really stretch your calves when you're not weight bearing. You could pull on your foot all you want, but because you're not weight bearing, your calf isn't loading the way it loads when you're weight bearing. So you've got to load it in weight bearing. And what do I mean by load? I like to use the word load instead of stretch, because stretch kind of gives you the idea that you're making the muscle longer, and that's not what you need to do really to improve the function of your foot in a way that could help to improve plantar fascia symptoms. What you need to do is you need to get the calf muscle to get longer in weight bearing, but in all 3 planes of motion, so that all those muscles, there's like 12 of them that go down into that foot and impact that function, so that all those muscles are having your foot do the motions that's required of your foot when you walk. If the foot is not doing the motions that are required, pain ensues. It might not just be plantar fascia pain. It could be knee pain, hip pain, back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain. I've had people resolve neck pain by improving ankle function and never touching their neck. I've had pitchers and football players and all kinds of people fix shoulder pain by improving ankle function, never touching their shoulder. It's your body, everything's connected to everything else. And if you're experiencing plantar fascia pain and you've never learned how to load your foot, load that calf in all 3 planes of motion, you may find that this is very helpful. Now, there are other things that can be done. The body is very complex, and there's a lot of things that have to happen in order for your foot to be functioning properly. And I don't want to have you be like a deer in headlights right now and just unload everything on you. So I'm going to do a little series of videos where I kind of cover a point here and a point there, and hopefully one of the videos, or maybe a combination of 2 or 3 of them, will really help you with plantar fascia pain. Okay, so this one is going to focus on loading your calf in 3 planes of motion. So what do I mean by that? Most people, if they're going to stretch their calf when they're standing up, they put their foot behind them, right? And they lean forward, and yes, I've got a nice load on my calf right now. It feels like it's being stretched. It's comfortable, it doesn't hurt, but as you can tell, I've got a lot of dorsiflexion because I've got that foot way back, right? Now, dorsiflexion is when your toes come up toward your shin bone. Same motion when your shin bone comes over the toes. Either way, that's dorsiflexion, right? So we want that motion to work really well as the foot is moved side to side, and the heel bone does a special movement that is required for a pain-free gait. And there's a rotation that occurs as well. So if all you're doing is stretching one way, it's not going to restore function in the other 2 planes of motion. So here's the deal. I'll pretend I'm holding the wall here, right? So I'm going to come forward, and I want to load that muscle, but I don't want to come forward and hang out there. And I often tell people, when you take a walk, you don't take a step, oh, let me wait 30 seconds. there's another step. Oh, let me wait 30 seconds. That's not what we do, right? It has to be able to load and unload through the gait cycle. So train it that way. Train your body the way you use your body. Doesn't that make sense? So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure your heel is down. Make sure the toes are forward, because if the foot's turned out, you're not getting dorsiflexion. So you do want the toes forward, okay? Now, if you've got a lot of plantar fascia pain, you may want to go gentle with this. It may be a little too much for you, so you might have to, none of the movements that I ever teach should cause pain, ever. If it's causing pain, don't do it, okay? So here's the deal. I'm keeping the heel down. I've got my toes forward, and if I'm hanging onto the wall here, I'm going to just rock my hips forward. Now you can see I'm not doing a push-up against the wall here with my arms, right? Because that doesn't do anything for my ankle, right? So I'm going to bring my hips forward, so I'm getting more dorsiflexion, less dorsiflexion, more, less, load, unload, right? So I'm going to do that for 10, 12, 15 repetitions, so long as it's comfortable, okay? Now if you feel your heel coming up, then bring your foot a little bit closer so your heel stays down and you get that nice load, all right? Now, what about the other two movements? Your heel bone has to go in one of two movements. It has to move in toward midline or away from midline when you walk. And that's critical to protect your plantar fascia. If that heel is not controlled, or eversion's not decelerated, which I know sounds very complex, but that heel bone, it has to be controlled in one motion and contribute to another motion. And if it doesn't go into inversion, your foot doesn't lock up to give you a nice solid surface to push off, and your plantar fascia is going to get screamed at every single time. So it's critical that that heel bone is moving side to side. And you may have even had physical therapy, and your PT may not have even known this. Unfortunately, this isn't necessarily mainstream knowledge, but it needs to be, okay? So I'm going to get in that position. I'm going to come forward with my hips. So now I'm in dorsiflexion. I'm loaded, right? And now you're going to go side to side with your hips. Sort of like you're tapping parallel bars, right? If you had parallel bars, and your hips are going to tap them. What that's going to do is that's going to promote that heel motion to occur that we want to be happening really well in gait. Now you may notice that one of those motions doesn't feel so hot, but the other one's okay. So do the one that's okay. And eventually your body will work to restore what's not okay if you stick to the one that feels good. Eventually the one that doesn't feel good, you may be very surprised after just a day or two that it will improve and you'll get it back. All right? So you want to be loading side to side. You want to promote that eversion, inversion. Now there's a lot of other ways we can do this. I'm simply showing you one way. This is the easiest to learn, as long as you're not hurting yourself. And then the last one, we want to do rotation. So I'm going to have that foot back, heel down, toes are straight. I'm going to come forward to load it, and now I'm going to rotate. And here we're getting supination, pronation of that foot, which we need to go back and forth between those because the muscles are working. You're switching them on and off, right? And it's very important that that's working because that's a big part of gait. When we walk, we don't just walk forward. Our body is working in side-to-side motion. It's also working in rotation motion. Gait is very complex. And a lot of the times when people have pain when they're walking, it's because whoever's helping them doesn't really understand the complexities of gait. So they're missing some very important pieces that can really help the person to get free of pain. So make sure that you're forward and you're rotating. And again, if one of those motions doesn't feel good, you won't do it. So if rotating right your body doesn't like it, then don't rotate right, just rotate left. Okay? So this is kind of a start, an introduction to learning how to restore proper foot-ankle function when things are inflamed, itis, right? And again, back up, make the movements very gentle, no pain, okay? And I'll show you in some future videos some modifications, some other ways to help to get that side-to-side motion, to get that rotation in there. Believe it or not, you can load your ankle by what your trunk does. Yeah, you can load your ankle by what your pelvis does. So, and your pelvis can load your trunk and vice versa. So there's a lot of ways that you can move your body to restore motion and resolve pain. All right. If you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. And I hope I'll see you next time.